welcome to this week's episode of Tech Talk. I'm your host, Michael Amargan, and with me today we have Raquel.
Hello.
As per usual, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking through some of the more recent technology news that's happened within this past week. Now, not a whole lot has happened, but there have been some big events that have happened, I should say. One in particular, which we're going to get to a little bit later on down the line. Those of you who might be watching, of course, that would be Apple's keynote. But we're going to be starting that off in just a second. Okay, so we're going to be starting this week off with Samsung. We've got two topics for them, and the first one is that the Note 8, it was found during a survivability test, I guess you could call it. It's because it is using Gorilla Glass 5, it is able to withstand a lot more scratching. So it actually uses up to a level 6 now, which is fairly impressive, and which means that, for the most part, you're not really going to get scratches on your device. Unless it's on the fingerprint scanner. That is still fairly weak. But apparently it can now last up to 10 seconds, being held directly over a flame. So I wouldn't suggest doing that. But it may help you with, a bad ex who just wants to throw your phone in the fire. What do you think, Vicky?
I think they're going to harm on the durability for that phone. It's we had a little bad running with the last Note, so we're not going to have that again this year. So just throw whatever we could find into that.
My thing about it is we had a bad situation when it came to fires starting out with these devices, and now the outside of them is able to now withstand up to 10 seconds, so it seems. Maybe that's a little secret thing that they didn't really want to talk to people about, just in case, something happened again.
Again? I don't know if something happens, if this will be the end for the Note, or if it's just gonna wait a couple years and let it blow over. Because people have not let that Note 7 blowing up thing die down.
I think if the Note 8 has a similar issue, yeah, that might actually be the end of the Note series. People were saying that from the last Note series, the Note 7, and just the fact that they're willing to admit that they were wrong and try again with the Note 8. Yeah, I think this might be it if it starts to have an issue like that.
Hopefully. I kind of felt bad for them last time, so hopefully it doesn't happen.
Though they had a bigger phone than the Note before. But that thing, that was huge. I think that came shortly after the Note 2. That was like a mini tablet.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was one of those giant tablets. Oh, I so hated seeing people use them. Oh, I used to come. Oh, it was people used to have this big giant tablet up to the end. You have to hold two hands to hold it up to the end. I'm just there why don't you just get a phone?
But this one was smaller than the average small tablet, so I don't know. But regardless, yeah, that tablet to the ear thing, that was unnerving. Sure, I'll help you set this up and whatnot, because you're in a store or a friend or whatever, but
It was a real pet peeve for me. I hated them with a passion.
I'm glad most people don't do that anymore.
Anymore, yeah, I'm glad that it had its phase and it died down.
Yeah. And the second topic for Samsung is that 2018 may actually become the year of the flexible display phones for Samsung. If I remember correctly, they kind of showed it off in 2015, 2016. You could kind of like roll up your display or like fold it and like a bunch of stuff like that. So, for example, one of the things in the video was that you kind of just had a tube and you could pull out your display and it became your tablet, for example. If that is the case, I think that would be the next real true step for evolution of the smartphone and tablets and stuff like that. But if it's just something like, okay, so we're gonna have this base here and then you're just gonna flip this around, whatnot, but it's still like, hey, just something wiggling about in the wind, I think that might actually cause problems.
Yeah. Like, I feel like they're reaching so hard with phones now, like they kind of running out of ideas.
I have to agree. I think they were onto something inside. What's the movie called? Total Recall? Alright, I think it was Total Recall. Pretty much the movie with Tom Cruise and like the whole fingers up there and like moving things around. Do you know which movie I'm talking about?
I know the name, but I've kind of never seen it. I'll put it on my list.
Vicky! That's like you have to watch that. Like,
Yeah,
after this, you have to watch it.
I'll download it.
But, essentially, they had a lot of different stuff inside there. So, for example, and I believe it's all still the same movie. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong. But, what it was is that someone actually could have a telephone inside their hand. They could, of course, like go up to a invisible screen, holographic screen, and kind of just like move things around and whatnot. And it actually worked out fairly. Yeah.
I don't, unless it's just like a thing that's always in like futuristic movies. I don't know, but I feel like I have a picture in my head basically.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's what we're kind of gonna start getting off to, where it's just something that you kind of carry around.
Or like the ones that it's kind of like two bars. Well, one bar is gonna be the top, and one bar is gonna be the bottom. It's gonna be closed, and you just like slide it in your pocket, and then like when you want to use it, just pull it out and like slide the bar up.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then it's gonna be like a holographic screen in the back. I could see that.
And now that I think about it, there is a phone with a slightly holographic screen inside of it. But it's simply because it's using two different kinds of viewing angles. So it makes things pop out a little bit more. I think there's actually a phone by Red.
Yeah.
They have a pre-order. It's like $1,000 something. Actually, I think it's like 1,200 or 300 or something like that. It's probably the most expensive smartphone of the year if you don't count like those gold-plated ones from other places and whatnot. But I mean, that might actually be the way of smartphones. You might be right.
Yeah, like I could see them going towards that and like leave this whole tablet, fold-up phone, like just skip that point, just like start experimenting on those ones. I feel like those would be more efficient and caught on.
I agree. I actually.
But with that, some people may not have a headphone jack.
Well, see, that's where you still have that bass, because you always gotta have a headphone jack.
Or wireless headphones.
Well, that's actually another thing. If the screen is smaller, that means more stuff is gonna have to be built into whatever base it has. I mean, that might mean less battery life.
Well, you know, Apple users already used to that, so.
You admit it! Hey! You're the one saying it, not me. Just let that be on notice.
I think everybody knows products have terrible battery life.
I think Chris delved into that well enough last episode. The next topic that we have is going to start off with Google products, and it's actually Google Drive, the app for PC and Macs. Unfortunately, it seems that they're going to be removing that from, well, that's actually just going to be shut down from March 12th, 2018. They're saying that users who are still running the Drive app will start seeing notifications in October that it's going away, and that the company will steer customers towards one of two replacements depending on if they're a consumer or a business user. Apparently, let's see, there's backup and sync, the all-encompassing consumer app that replaces both the standalone Google Drive and Google Photos uploader. Essentially saves functionality as Drive and works much the same way. And on the enterprise side, there's Drive File Streamer. Who thinks of these names? Which saves space on local drives while providing access to all of your Google Drive files on demand directly from your computer. What? How does it save space if it's directly on your computer?
I was wondering the same thing. Like when you said save, I was like, oh, this probably going to be like a website type thing, and then he's like, oh, on your computer.
That sounds a little weird, unless they're trying to spin it off and like they're saying like, well, technically you still would be using it on your computer. It's just that, you know, everything's in the cloud. So I think that might be how they get away with saying directly from your computer. I don't know. That they probably could go with some better wording for that.
Probably could.
I guess I'll have to actually get rid of Google Drive now. At least the app. I actually like that.
I don't even use mine. Well, then you know I have iCloud, so.
Always gotta have everything Apple, don't you?
Yeah. Hand in hand.
We also have some updates from YouTube. For starters, it's got some new HDR features. So, for example, if you how should I put it? Let me see exactly what they're saying. They have added support for HDR content all the way back towards the end of last year, but there were still few, if any, Android handsets that actually supported it, with devices like the Samsung Galaxy S8, S8 Plus, Note 8, and Xperia XZ Premium, all coming out of the box with HDR capabilities. It's time for YouTube to catch up. Blah blah blah. New HDR tags showing up inside the resolution options inside the YouTube app. Frame rate can take a hit, and you need to make sure that you have a good internet connection to keep from buffering. So I guess it's just some of the devices that weren't seeing HDR before are now actually getting it. But I think the key update that's really interesting is now that YouTube is giving us playback speed choices on mobile devices. So you can actually set it from anywhere from 0.25 times to 2 times as fast. So a quarter as fast as what it normally would be to 2 times as fast as what it could be. I guess the slowdown could really be useful for like when you want to look at something screen by screen in a video. I don't know. Other than that, I probably wouldn't use that.
Me either. But I think I saw the update, but that's one of those things that I have it because I decide to use it, but I'm really not going to use it. It's, it's like buying. It's like getting. It's basically like getting more for less.
Didn't we have a conversation about that earlier today?
Yep. And the same thing applies to this.
Oh, but the thing about it is, like, you and this whole more for less, but these things are free.
Yeah, but then I get extra features. So if I would pay for it, then I'd be like, oh, like nice extra features. But I'm not. But either way, I still get features. It's kind of like it's kind of like playing with it along like the terms of shopping in bulk. Like you get more for less, but you really won't use everything at one time.
Okay, I think I could. Yeah. I think I could dig that. Okay. So, next topic, and this kind of continues on from like the whole bunch of hacking stuff from last week. But Vicky, quick question: do you know what Equifax is?
Nope.
Okay. So Equifax is actually a company that tracks your credit score in the States.
Oh.
It's one of the 3 major ones, if I remember correctly. And yeah, apparently they had a security breach that could have been prevented, it seems. But they just decided not to. So I think they were saying, yeah, 143 million people had their personal information stolen because of Equifax's security breach. Apparently, people could find out if they were affected on their website, even though it was very weird. The terms and conditions for checking to see if you were affected, also, you would have had to agree to say that you will not hold Equifax accountable for it, which is sketchy, very sketchy.
That's some fine print that you just make sure to look out for, and if it's like super sketchy, like I don't know if I trust this too much, and I just go like find somebody else.
Yeah. Apparently, a New York attorney general said that whole thing was unacceptable and unenforceable. The company since explained that it does not apply to the data breach at all, but hasn't stopped stopped the misinformation from spreading. It's also very weird that it's actually just like in there. Like you'd think they would have taken that part out. But they were also saying that they have no excuse for it because Equifax themselves confirmed that the attackers entered its systems in mid-May through a web application vulnerability that had a patch from March.
They had enough time to fix that.
Yeah.
And the fact that they knew the patch was there for March, they had enough time to fix that.
Oh, that's definitely not good. Let me see. What all information was actually taken? Let's see. For reference, the U.S. has a population of 323 million citizens, so that about 44% of the population had their information stolen.
That's a lot.
For the U.S., that's crazy a lot.
That's a lot. That probably go to like the whole population at NASA.
Yeah, it's roughly about there. Actually, no. That's
Bahamas. I feel like it would be like the full coverage.
Well, no, because the Bahamas only has like 350,000. This is million.
Oh, so that'd be us and more.
Us times 10. Actually, no. Us times 100.
That's a lot. And the fact they could have prevented it, like that's like That's super sketchy. But the fact that you guys knew that the breach was there, you guys didn't patch it from then and there, and you waited until someone else came and stole information from clients.
Apparently they've... Oh boy, oh wow. They have access now to information that allow them to create or take over accounts from any of the people impacted, since they have names, addresses, birth dates, social security numbers, and in some cases driver's license numbers. And an unspecified number of UK and Canadian residents were also hit, plus the credit card numbers for 209,000 people, and certain dispute documents for 128,000 people in the US. Oh.
I feel sorry for the bank workers because now they have to go cancel all them cards, replace them.
I mean, you could do a lot with someone's social security number though. Like, holy crap! You can, if you have that, you can get a driver's license. You can. That's essentially taking over someone's identity, right then and there.
I'd have been pissed, I ain't gonna lie. I would have been totally upset.
Wow. I think, I don't know, like in a situation like this, LifeLock and other places like that, I don't know if that's enough. To say like notify you in case someone's using your information. Because now that's just out there for anyone to sell.
Yeah, pretty much.
I know you. Well, do you use Spotify, Vicky? And we're changing topics here.
Nope, not at all.
You're an iTunes girl, aren't you?
Yep.
Well, for guys like me, or people like me, I should say, who actually enjoy using other things like Spotify and whatnot. If you're also an Apple user, unfortunately it seems that Spotify will no longer work on Safari. Which, when you really think about it, does kind of suck that they are dropping support for an entire browser. Apparently as of September 8th, the system requirements page was updated to reflect only Chrome 45 and up, Firefox 47 and up, Microsoft Edge 14 and up, and Opera 32 and up. Apparently several people on the Apple community have flagged the omission, but when they actually go to use it, it says that, you know, this browser doesn't support Spotify web player. Switch browsers or download Spotify for your desktop. So I'm not sure if Spotify updated something and then Safari just hasn't updated yet, or Safari took out something that Spotify needed.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see if it's still like that after High Sierra. I mean, because that's when you know Safari's going to get like its whole supposedly refresh and updates. So
that might actually, yeah, I mean, that might be it. Maybe it's just something that needs to be updated.
Because if they still have the app supported for Macintosh, then I feel like the web browser should still be supported as well.
You'd think so, right?
I would think so. Then, like, I know a lot of, like, for me, I've had instances where, like, certain things doesn't support Safari. So I go download Google Chrome to do whatever I have to do, then delete it.
You could just leave Google Chrome there and use that instead.
I use it 100%. So I just, like, use it for whatever I need to use it that second and delete it afterwards. Doesn't mean I have to download Safari Google Chrome and everything else.
Now I know you like Twitter.
Yep.
Have you ever been part of a tweet storm, or taken part in doing a tweet storm?
Yes, because of that 140 character limit. That's so annoying.
Apparently, and it was found inside one of the coding for Twitter in itself, but they found that Twitter might be working on a unreleased feature that allows you to just like make out your essay or whatever it is that you want to post, and it will tell you like the different breakpoints and where things are going to stop, so on and so forth, so you can actually like plan out your tweet storms, and then it would send them out in order.
That's nice. Instead of me, like I usually, when I say that I'm coming close to the 140 limit, then I usually like put like 1, 2, 3. I put like 3 dots, and then I'll send that, and I'll open up the next one, put 3 dots to like say I'm continuing, and then type whatever I have to say.
I've noticed a lot of different ways that people do it. So for example, I've seen like the I'm just gonna use 3, like they were doing 3 different posts, to say like which post is which. I've seen people use pictures to do it. I've seen the dots like you mentioned. I'm not sure which way this one's gonna really work though. I know it's gonna be threaded, but
It may be, well, from the photo, it may be like how, okay, like another way persons like continue their tweet. They usually reply to their tweet. Like if they tweet hi, they'd come back, reply to hi, and then type something else afterwards. So I think it may be like that, and you may be able to open up the thread to see it.
that's what I'm wondering. I think that's probably how it's gonna be. I guess I'll just have to see it when it actually rolls out. This one's slightly controversial, but it still falls along the social media trend. But Vicky, were you aware of some of the hate groups that were on Reddit?
I think I knew about Reddit, but I'm not like actively on it. I usually see when you and Chris post things on it. That's about it.
Okay, so there were some toxic community groups, spurred on by roughly hate speech, either about I don't really know a better way to say it, but fat people, and then one that was about black people. That's the simplest way I can put it. And that group in itself. Well, I mean, not everyone's American though.
All colored.
I guess that could work.
I guess that softens the blow like when you say colored people.
Yeah, but then how do Indians feel?
That too. I don't know, like like you can't say one thing without offending someone else.
Exactly. But for the sake of it, the name of it was r/Coontown, and the other one was r/Fat People Hate. So just by the names themselves, very hateful. So what Reddit did was that they actually banned a handful of those kind of subreddits, and then this group pretty much kept track of the people who used to post in them, and see exactly what kind of stuff happened after these bans. And what they noticed was that, yes, while people migrated either to some other websites that kind of have a more free speech element to them, the ones that decided to stay were actually showing signs that they weren't as, well, at least vocally hateful. They're being a bit more careful as to what they said in other places, even if they joined somewhere like the Donald, which is filled apparently with white supremacists as well and stuff like that. But the Donald already has its own issues regardless of that. But yeah, so apparently this kind of stuff does work. The researchers concluded, I'm going to quote, "For the definition of work framed by our research questions, the ban worked for Reddit. It was successful at both a user level and a community level. Through the banning of subreddits which engaged in racism and fat shaming, Reddit was able to reduce the prevalence of such behaviors on its site. That last part I think is important, because then that means while it's not as prevalent on Reddit itself, that doesn't mean that these people have stopped elsewhere. So I think if more sites were to take a somewhat similar approach, and I think that's what the researchers were saying, then we might make places online a bit easier for people to come together. Had to word that one right. What's your thoughts on that, Vicky?
Yeah, it would. I think it would help with persons coming together. Especially because like the cyber world has a lot of power. It's like for certain people, what you say on the internet, some people may not take it seriously, but others may. So I think it would help with putting everybody together. I mean, unless they want to be stubborn, and it's like, like there's stubborn people out there, and like no matter what you do, they're still gonna like still be stuck in their ways. So
quite true.
Yeah, a little bit of abandoned hand there. It usually gets people to act right.
Typically. Talking about acting right. And this is the last topic before we actually get into our Apple stuff, is that Overwatch apparently has had a slowdown of its updates and like new features and maps and game modes and stuff like that, because of how toxic some players are and them having to circumvent that kind of behavior. Vicky, have you ever played a game and like got abused because you were kind of new to the game?
Yes. I didn't. It wasn't Overwatch, but yes.
Yeah. So I think it's things along that line. So pretty much if you are new or you are just trying to get used to things and you're not maybe playing your best game, then sad to say, it seems that Overwatch is kind of not the best place. I thought it was doing fairly well. I didn't notice a whole lot of that kind of stuff when I was first playing around. I think I messed up like once during the summer championships and someone like yelled at me, but that was only like one person. So I don't know. That I'm actually a little bit surprised. And on to the good stuff.
Yes.
Apparently at Apple's keynote event, or special event, as they want to call this one, I think. It was held at Steve Jobs, the Steve Jobs Center, which was never opened before. It's on their new campus. Vicky's heart is fluttering when she was watching it. Not gonna deny it, Vicky.
The photos didn't do it justice, because like they had leaked photos of it, and like the workers were setting it up for the keynote / special event. It didn't do it justice at all. But when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, like it was just gorgeous. You continue.
So what happened was that we had several different announcements. Of course, iOS was on the iPhones. iOS 11, I should say. It was iOS 11, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They started off with Apple Watch, though. Then there was some new bands, some new gestures on it, and a new bright red sticker, or whatever, on the dial. To differentiate and make sure that hey, this is the 2017 version. Um, and they also allowed for people with arrhythmia to join part in a study that might help other persons with arrhythmia. Am I missing anything, Vicky?
Yeah, I good. I think yeah, I think it's mostly what the red sticker for LTE, and then the regular one. Yeah, I think you got it.
Okay, yeah, there was that LTE version that apparently will be using the same phone number as your iPhone.
Yep.
How that's exactly going to do it, I'm not sure.
I feel like that's so like so it's like it's going to be like an electronic SIM that they already have inside the watch. Um, how are they going to connect it to the SIM in your phone? I'm not sure. I don't know if it's going to be like one of those when you set up your Apple Watch, it's going to sync to your phone, your carrier, like that type of thing.
I don't know. That typically the whole thing is that you have one SIM, one phone number, and that one phone number is on that one SIM. Not a bunch of SIMs with one phone number.
Yeah, I just feel like it's like more money.
I mean, maybe, but I would like to know the technology behind that
I,
eSIM thing.
yes, I'm waiting. Like I'm waiting for someone to like rip it to pieces. Because you know it's coming. Like someone is gonna rip it to pieces and tell you how it works. So I'm waiting on it to happen so I could see. And then
Same here.
the carriers in the states, and then like when they branch out to other countries, they're gonna have like a special rating for your Apple Watch with LTE.
Probably.
Um, yeah, I want to see that special rating price. So I feel like you're paying like twice the phone bill.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, one of the first Kickstarter smartwatches actually had something built in to where you can put a SIM card inside of it. So the idea isn't necessarily new, but the implementation definitely is. If you can get that same phone number, I think that is the key thing.
You know, like if they didn't do it the electronic SIM way, like when I originally heard about the LTE, I automatically assumed that they kind of had like a mini SIM tray because when I take off my bands at one end, it has like this, like the dot, like you know the dot that you have to push the pin in for the
Yep.
SIM tray. Yeah, it has like that and like there, and I'm just like, what is this here for? I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna bother with it. Next thing you know, I break something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just left it alone. So I figured like that's what they were gonna do. But then it's like, oh, you know, we have this new electronic SIM. I was like, oh, how does that work? And like, if so, is that gonna be like a new feature that you're gonna eventually implement into the iPhones later on down the line?
I mean, it's definitely. Hmm.
I could see them trying that. I really could. Because it's them, I could see them like pushing that to the iPhones. Like, oh, you know, it's basically all products around. Like you could have it on your watch, you could have it in your phone. There's no need to always go to replace a SIM if you lose your SIM and et cetera, et cetera.
Then what will be next? The iPads.
Maybe because they also have cellular iPads.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like they should. I feel like they shouldn't push it to the phone. They should push it to the iPad
I
because
agree.
like essentially it would be the same thing for the watch and the iPad.
Yeah. Hmm. It's all an interesting thought.
It is. You'll wait to see for the future.
Yes. Yes. Next, well, was of course. Let's see. We had Apple TV, and Apple TV was the big thing was that hey, you're gonna be able to watch sports live, and that you now have a 4K TV that's like around how much? Like $200
Yes, I think so.
for the highest amount of space, which was 64 gigs. I mean, a 4K TV for 64. I mean, for $200 is not bad when you really think about it. But then it's an Apple. Maybe that's just me being biased.
Biased much?
No, but seriously, I mean, overall, I think people were expecting that. They were expecting a 4K TV from Apple. They just weren't expecting it for that cheap of a price.
Yeah, I really was expecting it to be more. Like when they said the price, it's like, oh, it's like $50 more compared to the 32 gig regular Apple TV.
Yeah. And then they were saying something gets updated to something got updated as well.
I mean the videos, like if you purchase videos in HD, I think within like the last year or so, like they're gonna automatically be converted into like 4K.
Yeah, that was it. Which is a pretty smart move. I know some places, you actually, like for Google, for example, you buy standard def, you buy HD. I don't know how they're gonna handle it with 4K though. That I think is something we're gonna have to see.
Well, I still have my regular Apple TV, and I haven't really used it yet.
You've had that for how long now?
I think almost a year. I think next month, well, next year, February, I think it'll make it a year. I bought it because I wanted it. So I can't even lie. I wanted it, so I bought it.
And you haven't used it yet?
I have, like, I've plugged it in every here and there, but to say, oh, I'm gonna come home and watch my Apple TV, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'll start using it more, hopefully.
We'll see. We'll see. And then of course there was the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, which, forgive me for this, but it really felt like that was what should have been the 7S. Like,
yep.
it was the same form factor, a bump up in specs, improved camera, like the new chip for the GPU and CPU.
8 Bionic?
Yes, the A11 Bionic, because I think they just gave it the name Bionic because it has that neural networking stuff built inside of it, to be quite honest. For those who, well, I mean, I guess we can probably get into this now. But the Bionic, the neural networking part of it is for the face unlocking. And the face unlocking is because with the phone that comes after the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus is the iPhone 10. Not the iPhone X or the iPhone edition, like other rumors were saying or whatnot. It was the iPhone 10. They pulled a Windows with this one.
For me, I simply believe that they didn't name the 8 7S because they would have messed with the naming scheme they were going for. So I was like, oh, you know what? We're going to name this one iPhone 10. Let's just throw this as iPhone 8 and call it a day. It's like you can imagine, oh, you know, the iPhone 7S. And then speak about 7S, 7S Plus. And then there's like one more thing, iPhone 10. Like the naming scheme would seem kind of off. It seemed kind of off. Really fair. That's what they did.
Yeah, but still, like, the iPhone 8 isn't really worthy of it being its own number. At least in my opinion.
I really thought it was going. Well, I thought it was going to be the 7S until last week when the developers ripped iOS 11 to pieces.
That Gold Master
version.
Oh Lord, they just dug into that.
If like a guy came on Twitter and was like, oh, you know, my eyes are like bloodshot red because I'm so deep into this code. And I'm just like how deep? Like everything is already being covered from the code that like has been posted on like on Facebook, well on Twitter and on YouTube. I also digging deep into more.
We live in a time when we know exactly what's coming out before the official announcement comes out. Like everything gets leaked.
Mm-hmm. Like I shouldn't be laughing, right? But like they had like some comments underneath. It was like, oh, I feel for the person who like how much people are gonna get fired from Apple today. Like every time something leaked, that's what everybody had to say. Like it was so funny, but it was so true at the same time.
Yeah.
Like someone getting fired.
One thing that okay, so there's a number of different things that came out, and like I said, the 8 wasn't really that much of a game changer. It's pretty much the same phone as before, just with some extra specs. So I want to focus in more on the 10. And the 10, they were saying, has a bunch of new features inside of it. It has got a new design that is the future of smartphones, which is just a blatant copy of some other phones. And I'm looking at Essential, even though I guess the renders for iPhone were out from before that. I don't know.
I want to say yes, but at the same time, I feel like they were really close within like the time frame. Because I remember laughing at the circle that odd cut out on the circle on the camera.
Exactly. And then when you really took a look at it as well, the entire design of it. So it's the full screen, which Samsung really pushed this past year. Well, from the SA, I should say. Let's see where it starts. Oh. And then this little notch at the top, which it's debatable if Essential or iPhone was the first one with it. But that notch for the iPhone 10 has an infrared camera, a flood illuminator, which supposedly floods your face with full of light without you being able to tell that there's light. I'm not sure how they do that. A proximity sensor, an ambient light sensor, a speaker, a microphone, a front-facing camera, and a dot projector. The dot projector projects dots onto your face to help with the neural networking bionic chip with the face unlocking. So that's a lot of stuff that they were trying to say. It's much more secure than fingerprint. They were saying, I think it's 1 in 50,000 people with your can get inside with your fingerprint, but only 1 in a million could get in with your face.
Yep.
Of course, the internet ran with that one and said they haven't met Arya Stark yet, but but I mean, this is the internet, and of course this is also the same internet that ran with the fact that they had an issue with the face unlock during the demo itself. Now Apple's reasoning behind this was that several people were handling the same device and that the iPhone was scanning their face as well, and so by the time it actually reached the person who was supposed to unlock it, it had already gone into password protection mode because it wasn't reading the right face. If that's actually the case, I don't know.
That attitude though. And then it was funny after they had an issue when they was doing the demo. Switched phones, got it unlocked. He started going on another topic. Then he was like, oh, let's go back to the Face ID. He had to sell that to, show people that
Yes.
Face ID is secure. He did that, I think, maybe 3 times afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
To show people that, it's really good, it works, and this, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it's first generation. So I expected it to have bugs. I'm expecting it to move slow. So like I think they're gonna perfect it a bit more, like maybe second generation. Like after they have like some time to bother with it.
I would agree. I think it's a true shame it doesn't have Touch ID.
Mm-hmm.
Because not everyone can use their face to unlock, and you know they'd have to either they would now need to use a password
Passcode. Yep.
or a no yeah passcode's the only thing. Um, 'cause it's not Android, but you have a bunch of other little things that you could use. But overall, though, I do think that face unlocking is still not quite where it should be. I'm not saying that like with iPhones in particular. I'm saying that as a whole. Be it Androids, be it iPhones, be it even security systems. Like, I still think there should be some other level. And I don't know if it's just me. Like, I think it should be face unlock, then fingerprint, then you get into your phone.
That's a lot.
But I mean, if it's so quick, it shouldn't be a problem, right?
Yeah, but that's like doing a double verification.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the way you should be doing verifications.
Hmm. I'm
But
lazy. I just rather have one of the two.
and then that runs into another issue, like, um, let's say you did something wrong, and you know, the police are now asking to get inside your device. Before you could say, "Hey, I don't remember my passcode."
Just stick it up to your front of your face
Yeah,
and make sure your eye open. Yep.
yeah, because you just need to. Apparently, all you need to do is be staring at it. You could be wearing
Yeah.
sunglasses or anything like that, and it will read through. Well, most sunglasses, it'll be able to still read through and like look at your eyes and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it still asks for it as soon as you restart your device, or if it goes to passcode like how it did with fingerprint.
That's a really good question. I feel like it just like went with passcode before fingerprint because well, when you restart it, it's because like it wants to verify that it's actually you like putting your fingerprint for your phone, I guess. Um, but, like they want to make sure that you have your passcode, and then like after you unlock it, because I think it's because the passcode was like the traditional way, like how they used to unlock their phones from like back in the day, like when you had
Mm-hmm.
slide to unlock. I think that may be the reason why they have you use your passcode when you restart your phone instead of having your fingerprint.
I mean,
Maybe that'd
maybe.
be interesting if they switched it up.
I think it would be as well. I think it'd be really interesting, and I think it'd be beneficial.
It would go with with everything they were trying to say that security,
Exactly.
and like you could tell. You could tell Face ID was coming up like from like the get go, like keynote. Like, I think first starting off, like within the first couple of minutes, he started speaking about security. And I was like, oh, there you go. That's kind of like hints right there that they're about to tell the security line for Face ID.
Yep. But moving off from that topic with iPhones. Well, the iPhone X, 10. Wow, that's yeah. That is gonna get confusing. Apparently, I mean, it still has the HDR display. They're saying it has Dolby Vision and HDR10, which is we kind of covered that a few episodes ago with Samsung and Panasonic, along with Century Fox.
Yes, I think so. But I was saying that it would hurt my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3D Touch is still, of course, part of it, and True Tone display. Of course, they're not going to mention that they got this display from Samsung, which apparently at the moment they're only display distributor until they get that something worked out with LG. But I'm guessing that's also part of the reason why they were able to get HDR10 on it as well.
Yeah, I think so. Just like you just brought it up with Samsung and Dolby. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but that's just my feeling on it. Exactly, could be right. Overall, though, I mean, it doesn't really seem like the phone is all that revolutionary, though.
Yeah.
Like it's face unlock. It's got dual cameras and dual cameras look like a traffic light. With a big
just like the traffic light emoji.
yes, even with like the three lights. So it's got the first one up top is a camera, the middle one is the flash, and the bottom one is another camera. And I mean, they're saying, you know, it has larger and faster sensors and a new color filter, deeper pixels. They tried to play off, and this kind of bugged me, that they said HDR is better, means better pixels. But HDR, no, that's not what it means. HDR is high dynamic range. It takes several different pictures and pieces them together to get a better picture that, you know, has more depth to it, not necessarily pixels. I think Apple really needs to be careful about how they try to market stuff.
Was that around the same time when they were speaking about the Retina display screen and then HDR around the same time? Was that?
Yeah, they called it super
Retina display, I think.
Super Retina, yeah. When Samsung is known to be selling and using a Super AMOLED display. It's like, okay, so you just took the Super from Super AMOLED and you took the Retina from before, which, you know, the Retina can only see a certain amount of dots per inch, or DPI, which is like 340, I think, and this one's like 420. So how is Retina still viable?
Because it's Apple's own.
Change the name.
Like
Go with, just say LED, Super LED, something.
it doesn't have, like, they already pitched the Retina display to people and they already sold it to them. So now they have to show people that they're improving Retina display as the years go by. When you already pitch it and you sell it so nicely, or you have to show them how it improves.
Watch, give them 3 years and they're gonna be talking about like atomic eye or something like that. I don't know. Like, I do think they need to like start ditching this Retina thing though. Of course, granted, the two cameras with it, like, they have dual optical image stabilization, which seems very familiar for those who watched the Galaxy Note 8's presentation, because that also had it. I would like to see the comparison between both of them now, though.
Me too. I'm waiting for the videos.
Yeah, those should be nice.
I'm waiting for those, the drop tests. Oh, I can already see it.
And one thing that kind of gets me with Apple and the iPhone is, like, they show off these pictures that are taken by an iPhone, but they don't compare it to anything. Like, say, the older version of the iPhone to show how much better it's gotten. Like,
Nope.
here's how beautiful this picture is. It's like, compared to your what? Like, how did this get improved?
They gotta make sure you see only their product and the new one, to be exact, so you could see the difference. Well, so you could just like see the quality, like they just want you to see like the clarity and the colors, and be like, oh yeah, you know, I could see the improvement, like, because like they already want you to have like that mindset they kind of like brainwash you basically. Like they already want you to have their mindset, oh, new camera. This is the examples of what you can shoot, like what you can shoot with this camera.
Mm-hmm.
Better pixel, like better, yeah, better colors, sharper image. They basically like brainwashing you in a way. I mean, I'm all for it. So,
She's
so like,
Vicky.
so
Are
I
you
don't mind
you're saying that you don't mind being brainwashed?
I don't like. I'm like. It's clear to see that I'm already kind of sort of deep in. I just take it to a certain extent, but I'm all for it. Like, I mean, what it's like the simple things about this company I just love. But
The simple things.
yeah, like the video, like their soundtrack are always on point. Their videos are always on point. Everything is so unison up to the point whereas the volume levels on each device goes up to 16 maximum and like the middle is always 8. Like so like simple things like that, like I notice and I just love it. And like that's like these simple colors that stand out even though
How about this? During the opening of it, they mentioned about the places getting hit by hurricanes.
man, maybe have to soften the hearts a bit.
Yeah, they mentioned Texas, they mentioned Florida, they mentioned the Caribbean, and then they mentioned the charities and whatnot. But none of the charities work for the Caribbean. They're pretty much all Florida and Texas.
Yep. And like they have us there, but it's more like 1%. You know, I'd say 0.5%. Like they don't really per se carry for us too much, but they have us there as an option. Like for real, like if you, like I've noticed, I know you've noticed it. Like we have, like we're there, like the little 5%, but like actually not a 0.5%. But it's not like we need to pitch to the Caribbean so we can get their sales, etc., etc. I think like most of the time when they're doing their marketing, it's always pitch to the States, pitch to China, pitch to Canada, stuff like that.
Yeah. Because, I mean, technically we fall in with Latin America. The majority of the Caribbean falls in with Latin America. So we're a subset of a subset. Still, man, come on, do something.
And then I really hope that they bumped up the specs for their telephoto lens, simply because if you have a 12 megapixel camera, like both rounds, like when you go to zoom in with your telephoto lens, the images are going to become distorted and pixelated. You need to have a higher megapixel to cover for like the zoom, for like when you zoom in.
Exactly.
So I really thought that they'd figure that out, because I think another phone had done it. I just was like, thank you. Like they noticed that you have to have a bump within the megapixels for the telephoto lens in order for your photos to come out clear when you zoom in. I really thought Apple would have picked it up and maybe bumped it up to like 16 megapixels, like maybe 14 if they like just bump it up like a bit more instead of just having it 12 straight across the board.
Nope. They can't. The only thing they really said was that it has a larger and faster sensor, and like the different apertures. Nothing really improving with it.
But everybody all over the internet interested in iPhone 10, and I'm just there like, that's first generation. I'm gonna stick with my 8 and wait for them to come back and solve the issues. I know they're going to do that. I feel that they're gonna go like rip this 10 to pieces, sort out the issues with it, especially Face ID, because it already shamed them on during the keynote. So they definitely about to go work on Face ID. They're gonna go back, work on those, come like maybe next year or so. It's gonna be like the same design, but it's gonna be with the regular, like just the standard iPhone Plus. Then it's gonna be, the price is gonna drop, clearly.
Yep.
Because you can't sell like a base model, well, like the like kind of like the base lineup for like $9,000, like $1,000. You can't sell it for that. So they're gonna drop the price. They're gonna improve Face ID. Like I could already see things coming, and like in the woodworks already for them for next year. So I'm just gonna save my money this year, get my 8.
How are you saving money by getting a new phone?
Well, for me, I only really replace my phones every 3 generations.
But then you wouldn't be getting the one next year, you'd be getting the one after that.
Maybe. It depends. It usually depends on how I feel. And then like I get in a 256, so that should hold me out for about 3 years.
Yeah, that was another thing. They increased the sizes on the iPhones. That I think was nice.
It's nice. It's minus of them taking out the 128.
Yeah.
But it's nice. And I'm so glad that they got rid of jet black and black. Oh my god, like I hated last year's colors simply because there wasn't no space gray. Like, how could you get rid of space gray? I think space gray is my favorite color from them. I hate silver. I hate that gold. I hate that rose gold. Actually, let me not say I hate. I just like them simply because, simply because I just prefer space gray.
You're a space gray gal.
Yep.
I gotcha.
It has to match with a lot of products, so.
And one thing that they also mentioned was that was it just, I think it was just the 10 that they mentioned, but it has 2 hours more battery life than the iPhone 7, which I think is a good thing because, well, like we mentioned earlier, you guys generally have less battery life than other persons. Whether it's actually gonna be 2 hours though, real life,
Maybe. Like I read, like I had to read something this morning, but it wasn't for the 10, it was for the 8 and 8 plus. It was basically saying that it may have a shorter battery life compared to the 7. I don't want to quote me on that, but they gave like the numbers. They gave like the numbers to say, okay, like the 8 has XYZ, and then like the 7 has this, and that is the case. But it was more numbers for the MAH, I think that's it, or something along that line. Yeah, it was more numbers for the 7 than it was for the 8. I'll send you the article.
Okay.
Look at it.
Yeah, because
They didn't
MHA, yeah, that's it. Wait a second.
I don't think they mentioned much for battery dealing with the 8.
Yeah.
I think they just pushed it to the 10. They
Yeah.
needed to sell that phone.
See, you have the exact same issue with saying it just as I did.
I think everybody has an issue, and they're gonna eventually get accustomed to it.
Probably. Oh god, what if they start like going Final Fantasy with it? iPhone XI. It's like, oh.
I think maybe as I don't know, like I think when they start doing like the higher double digits, they may, or like how they did with the iPad, they just named it iPad. They may start doing that, like iPhone Plus.
Yeah, but then,
yeah.
well, yeah, then they could just say like iPhone 2017 edition.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Well, that pretty much covers our topics for. Huh?
Emoji.
Oh,
Emojis.
right, the emojis. Yes, you can now make your face thanks to the new neural networking system inside these new devices. And I think the MacBooks as well.
Oh, I'm not sure with the MacBooks.
Okay. Well, definitely with the new iPhones, you can now use your face to make animated emojis. So you can essentially make your face a pile of poop.
Yeah, so make it smile, make it laugh.
Yes, you can now see a smiling and laughing pile of poop.
I love how they're capitalizing on emojis. like show the Android users how to do it, because they had Unicode from way back then, and they were using emojis from way back then, and Android jumped on the bandwagon.
You know what I think really encouraged this? The Emoji Movie.
That too.
They saw like, oh, emojis are actually like moving around. How cool would that be?
They are cool. I think they're so cool, but like creepy at the same time.
But here's the issue. You can only use it on iPhones. It's not going to be rolling out to other devices like that. At least I don't really see it, because they're more than likely going to try and make it proprietary. So you can only really use it on iMessage. You can't really use it on WhatsApp.
Nope. Yeah.
I mean, you can record them and then send them like that as videos. At least that's the way it seems. But other than that, I don't know. And that doesn't quite come off as cleanly.
It's iMessage exclusive. I can see it.
Then again, we have had that one in emoji in chat with going like, yeah, and like bouncing around. So maybe, you know, we could use that. Record it, make it into a GIF, a GIF, whatever you want to call it.
GIF. I
don't know. Maybe.
I could see it. I can't wait. I do feel bad for the one guy who went on Twitter though. The one who I told you about, who said that he was trying to pitch the emoji thing. Yeah, I felt bad for him.
You wanna tell our viewers about that one?
Okay, well, last week when there was rumored of the 3D animojis for iOS 11 iMessage, there's this guy named Ryan Jones, whose Twitter handle is rjonesy. He basically came on and said that he was battling the App Store rejections for about a year, well, since last year, dealing with animated emojis, because he made an app called Animojis. So like when they released that, it was rumored that the new iMessage for iOS 11 would have it. He was like, oh, well, I now see why I've been battling for rejection and they never allowed me to have my app. And I was like I felt that one for him. I felt really bad for him, I can't lie.
That's a rough one.
Yeah, it is. And like, instead of them, I don't know, like they could have, since they noticed that he were doing it, they could have like contacted him and maybe allow him to come work on the team for like a short period of time to help them out. That could have been a solution instead of just like rejecting his app like that.
I mean, not only that, if he's been fighting for a year, they could at least let him have it for a year. And then, hey guys, look at what we have. Which is what you'd think would be better, considering that it uses your face to like move things and like talk and whatnot, compared to just animated emojis.
Yes, that would have been better. They could have capitalized on it even more.
Right. So that seems a bit selfish.
It was. Like, I felt that from like when I saw it, I was like, ouch. Yeah. Like I felt really bad for him, and I was like, oh well. And I guess he'd have to go back to the drawing board and come up with a new app. I mean, because like Apple just like stole it and capitalized on it already. So if he does this, so I'm like, oh, it's already a feature. So I don't really need it.
Yeah, but then again, Apple's always kind of been sketchy about stuff like that. I mean, look at what happened with Siri back with the iPhone 4 and the 4S. People were beta testing it on the iPhone 4. They come out with the 4S, which is nothing more than just saying, hey, look, we've got this thing called Siri now. And then, like, as soon as they say that, you can't use it on the, like, you can't download it for the iPhone 4 anymore. So it's kind of like, I see what you're doing.
But also, they did something similar to the software as well, which is why I'm glad that they've been extending their software to like later versions. now. Oh, even more.
I, at this, well, is there a beta 11 yet?
A beta 11 for iOS 11?
Yeah.
No, I think they stopped at 10, and then the Gold Master leaked
Yeah.
like shortly after.
Okay. I wonder if iOS 12 is going to be 11 beta versions.
Maybe because I think the 10 had about 9, if I remember correctly. I think it had 9 beta versions.
This might be something to keep an eye on for the future.
Maybe. Yeah, you know, I'm always down for keeping my eye on betas.
Oh yeah, and there was one other thing with Google. Before we end off tonight's show, apparently I got an email from them, being a local guide, and they will soon be allowing. Well, it's currently being beta tested, but they're allowing for local guides to upload videos to locations. So you can either take a 10-second video recording directly from the app, and so people can see what the place looks like and whatnot, actually as a video instead of just pictures. Or you can use the first 30 seconds of a video that you would have recorded, like using an outside thing. I think it's interesting, just because it gives a little bit more insight into what the place looks like.
Yeah, kind of. It because like if you're standing outside like let's say a restaurant, and you're doing the typical stand from one angle, continue going like that to show the photo. It's going to be similar to the 3D photos that Facebook has. Is that it?
Yeah.
That's it. Yes. Where you like hold your camera up and like you kind of like zoom in on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be cool. I thought the 3D photos Facebook had was cool. So
I'm wondering though if it's not trying to replace, because apparently there was an issue with the Google photographers, or the essentially the people that would take pictures of businesses, and what they would do is they'd like take the actual walkthroughs and stitch them all together so that if you go to the business place, you could actually like walk through and see what, like, how it looks like inside, almost like a little tour. And I think that's it, tour. And they took down it showing automatically, well, that part when you do a Google search. So that might be another thing that they might be trying to bring in for them, or at least help them with. I don't know. If it's not, then I'm pretty sure those persons are going to be slightly pissed.
I'd say it would help them for, okay, like I'd use us for example. Like, who's gonna fly from the States all the way to the Bahamas to take photos or something that's here to put up on Google Maps, when you can basically have persons who are interested in doing it kind of beta test like the new softwares that y'all have out, and just like have them go around taking the photos of the businesses that's already here.
Well, what I meant was, when I said Google photographers, they're actually certified photographers who could be anywhere for the most part. So even Bahamians could become one of those. I was actually trying to get a friend of mine set up with that back in the States, because he's a photographer. But I don't know. I know there have been some rifts within the Google community about that, and the lack of help that they've been getting. I don't know. This might be a nail in the coffin. This might be nothing. I don't know.
Might be a little bit. Might be a conclusion for them to get help, since they've been complaining about no one helping them. Might be that.
Might be. But we're gonna end off today's show here. We actually went over a bit. Oh wow! Yes. Thank you for the second time. One thing that Apple tried to make it sound like they pretty much started, invented, was the wireless charging mat. That is also going to be coming up with these new devices. So iPhone 8, 10, the new AirPod charging case that you have to now spend $60 just to get, and your Apple Watch will all be able to now use wireless charging on this little mat device that's like yay big. You put your phone there, you put your case there, you put your watch on top of that, and it charges all three. And I'm guessing it's probably because they're all synced via Bluetooth. It'll tell you like the battery life on your phone for all three devices, or two, and how many you actually have sitting on it. What's your thoughts on that, Vicky?
I think it's pretty cool. Like I think it answered people like the Apple users, who I guess were dying to get wireless charging. I guess it answered like their question to just give them it, because like Apple was getting kind of bashed for not having wireless charging, whereas everybody else has a wireless charging, and it's blah blah blah. They removed the headphone jack and said they give them wireless charging and all types of stuff. So I guess like that was also something for them to capitalize the 8 with. Since there wasn't any major bigger change between that and the 7. The charging pad, which is called the Air Power.
Air power, air power, air power.
Wait, yeah, it's called the Air Power. I think it would take up, I don't know, like I want to say it would take up less space for like having all type of different cables wrapped up in your bag if you're charging, like if you're traveling. But then at the same time, you're gonna have this big kind of, I don't know, like you're gonna have like this big kind of slab to put in your bag now to travel with.
Well, I mean, it helps because now you don't have to carry 3 different cords if you want to charge everything the same time.
I usually have to carry. Yes, I usually carry like 3 different cords. My watch, my iPad, and my phone use my lightning cable. My iPod still uses the 30 pin. And then I gotta carry the MagSafe for my laptop.
Yep.
So, out of fashion, that's like 4 cables, never mind.
Even though, that whole joke I had sent to you a little bit earlier on today about you guys just becoming a Galaxy S6.
It was essentially
just catching up.
Catching up. Like I know people are going to be there. Oh, but Apple just got me in the at Samsung, the Galaxy this, Galaxy that, and I'm just gonna be like let it die. Like I thought we were past the, like I thought we were already past the phase of the phone battle, and we've already decided it's up to your user preference for like device that you want to use.
How can it be? Like, just this year there was a study that said like you're more likely to have a date bail on you and not like want a second date if they found out that you're not using an iPhone and they use an iPhone. Like, there is still like this smartphoneism.
Because it's like, what if I want to send you something? I can't airdrop it to you. I gotta actually go into your message, and I can't even iMessage you. I gotta use like either SMS, and who would use SMS? But I'd have to use like another application to send you something or email. When if you got like Apple products, can airdrop it to you.
So you're not upset that you can't just regularly use Bluetooth?
No, not at all. I think first going off I was, and afterwards like, you know what, I really don't use Bluetooth like that, so I'm okay with it. Like I'm like super okay with like not using Bluetooth like how all the Android devices use it. Plus, like I don't want to Bluetooth on some other person's because I have my music organized, so it has to have the artist name, the name of the song, the album, the track number, the genre, and the album artwork. But I like to be organized, and I don't like things to like I don't want it to be one have that, and like when you download music, it'd be like the name underscore something else underscore and something like that. Yeah, I don't like that. I hate to see that.
Wow, Vicky.
What?
I'm seeing a new side to you. Like, I see you in a new light now.
It's like to be organized.
Like super organized. Then again, I kind of always knew that. Still. I feel like I'm missing something. Like
iTunes,
yes, they've removed something from iTunes.
the books and apps.
You want to explain that exactly to me? Like, because I typically don't use iTunes, but
Well, basically, they're kind of forcing people to just use. Actually, let me not say it like that. Okay, so Apple removed, like with the new iTunes update, they no longer have the ability for you to sync your apps, your ringtones, and your books using the iTunes application. For books, you now have to use iBooks. For ringtones, you now have to use the setting and taptic option on your iPhone. And for apps, you now have to use the App Store to like sync all your apps and so on.
so instead of one place for everything, they're spreading it out over a bunch of different things.
Well, they're putting it back where it belongs in a way, because they had iTunes, and they also had books, ringtones, apps on iTunes. When at the same time they have iBooks, then they have the iBook store, then they have the App Store. Well, they have the App Store, and they have like they have the App Store. Like they have like all the apps already on the App Store. They have all the books already on the iBook store. So it's kind of like keeping iTunes, like sending iTunes back to just being music, and putting all these other things back into their category.
Then technically, shouldn't iTunes just be buying music and radio then?
No, no. Well,
No?
I don't want it to. Like I'd want it to be a place. Well, I liked it to stay the way it is now. Whereas I could sync my phone to it, have my music library stored. I have Apple Music, which I really don't use. I could buy my music from the iTunes store. Like I like it like the way it is now. Like all the music stuff in one place, which is in iTunes, and everything else in the categories that they're supposed to be on.
Okay.
No, they're supposed to be in. Yeah. But I'd say it sucks for those who are still using, I'd say, 5th generation and below iPod Nanos, because you can no longer sync your games to your iPod. I mean, I really doubt there's someone still using. Well, actually, no, let me not say that, because people still laugh at me for using my 3rd generation touch. But yeah, like it sucks for those persons who are still using a 5th generation and below. They can no longer sync their games.
I mean, it has been a while, so it's not entirely surprising.
Yeah, plus they discontinued iPod Nano and Shuffle this summer.
Aww.
Like when I went in stores that still had them, I was like, oh my gosh, look, the last of its kind. So I was in the States when I found the news, and I think I went in the Apple store like a day afterwards, and I was like, oh my gosh, look, the last of its kind. They're just sitting down on the shelf. Well, I felt like iPod Nano and Shuffle was like revolutionary for them to just drop it like so, showing you that the company is changing.
Well, I mean, there's a lot that they've changed and dropped over the years.
Yeah. But like, I kind of saw it coming in a sense, because they moved the iPod tab from off the main tab on their website, and they had it on Need Music.
Well, I mean, it's not only that though, because when you think about it, the iPods for the rough, unless you were getting like the shuffle or like the really, well, no, it's still the shuffle. But if you're getting the iPod that actually still had touchscreen and everything like that, it was just an iPhone that didn't have cellular capabilities.
Yeah, but the nano, and for me, I think, well, I thought that they were just keeping the iPods around for persons who work out and they don't want to have like this big clunky phone attached to them. They just could like clip their iPod onto them and go running. Yeah, I thought that's what they were probably keeping them around for. But I guess I guess after a while the sales dropped for them. It was like, doesn't make sense us producing these products and we're getting more of a loss than a profit.
And I think they want to try to push that off to the Apple Watch now.
Yeah, with the AirPods and the Apple Watch.
Yeah. Since they can both now pair up together all by themselves.
Yeah.
I still don't like that though. But
at the same time, you have to pay for Apple Music, so it's like
exactly.
It's like a triple win because the Apple Watch and you have like I think maybe 4 gigs. I want to say. Yeah, so I could barely hold half my music library on that. So you still have to pay. You still have to pay for Apple Music. That's 3 times the money for them. 3 times the profit.
Sneaky.
Yep.
But okay, I think that's definitely covered all of our topics for this week. Am I wrong?
I think so, yes.
Okay. So, folks, we're going to wrap up this week's episode of Tech Talk. Thank you for joining us, as of always. And, feel free to join us next week. Tuesdays for Esports Wrap, Thursdays for Tech Talk. Both of the shows are at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.